Hi, I'm Jason Inman, and I like to read comic books. That's why in the week of May 14th, I decided to read all the DC New 52 comic books that were published in the world. I'm going to give each of these a buy it, borrow it from a friend, or a skip it rating. But before I get to that, don't forget to go to majorspoilers.com, the comic book news website where they know that you love comic books, and we do too. Now enough of this jibba jabba, let's talk about some DC Comics. Action Comics number 31. Can Aaron Cooter just draw life? Can that just happen? Can he just sit on a hill somewhere and just draw all of life? Because his pencils in this book are amazing. I love his images of Superman, and it's got a strong script by Greg Pak. Now, this is part 2 of the Superman Doom storyline, which we will talk about part 1 later on in this review because I do these reviews in alphabetical order, don't you know? And, you know, it's an interesting idea. Basically, to spoil the first part of it, Superman obliterated Doomsday, and now he's inhaled Doomsday, and so he's slowly turning into Doomsday. It's a neat way for the New 52 to do this classic old storyline of Superman versus Doomsday and to make it more about Clark becoming Doomsday. Because I tell you, my friends, I bought that comic book when I was a very little kid, 10 years old, in a gas station. I saw it in a gas station, Death of Superman, and I had to buy it. I bought it in a gas station. I read it. But basically, if you read that storyline, I thought this when I was a kid. I think this now. It's basically them just punching each other to death. So I like that it's something a little bit more. By the way, Action Comics is one of the best Superman comic books out there. So if you haven't been reading it, you are wrong. This is a definite buy it. Batgirl number 31. So Gail Simone introduces Ragdoll into the New 52 and basically makes him a horrible person to women. Yeah, skip it. Batman Eternal number 6. This issue introduces Jim Corrigan the Spectre, except he's a dashing little guy with a green little suit, and he's always drinking and going daddy-o, and hey, how's it going? Hey, baby. He probably drives a Studebaker as well. But he's just a really cool and interesting character. His design, his mannerisms, his dialogue. And it's interesting in this issue that we tie him to the most technological member of the Batman family, Batwing. So you have Iron Man technology and Jim Corrigan magic, and it's a neat little mix. And it's a very interesting storyline. And you know what? Batman Eternal is really coming together now that it's in its 6th issue. And, you know, I kind of wonder, first off, if the Falcone storyline, the Gang War storyline, the Techno Nanobite storyline, and the Jim Corrigan storyline will be tied together, or if they'll all be separate. I hope they're tied together, and I hope we get to see the strings tied together. You know what? This, surprisingly, is a buy it. Constantine number 14. John Constantine goes to the desert and he picks up a girl on the side of the road. And there's only 2 ways it goes from there. Horror movie or adult movie? Which way do you think it goes? Actually, it goes the horror movie way. Because if you know Constantine, you know that. Basically, they go to an old cabin, and there's a crazy ghost Indian spirit, and John has to show him the way of his ways, does some magic-y. The girl is his old reincarnated lover. It sounds kind of crazy and kind of stupid, but you know what? Actually, it's actually a really good issue. And if the Constantine TV series wants a prime example of how to do a Constantine series, you look at this issue, because this is kind of a done-in-one, ghosty spirit. John solves the problem. He makes some quips. He does some things, and that's what you do. That's what you say. That's how you do it, my friends. Buy it. Green Lantern Corps number 31. So a bunch of nameless Green Lantern aliens fight a bunch of other nameless other aliens that I'm never given a reason to care about because it just gives me nothing, and I'm just like, why? There's so many aliens. What do I do? That's what I do when I read Green Lantern comic books. I'm like, there's so many planets and aliens. What do I do? And I was very unimpressed until So Damn Yet shows up. Yeah, that's right. So Damn Yet. The supposedly most powerful Green Lantern of all time, a Daxam with the powers of Superman. He shows up and it instantly got me engaged in this issue. And it kind of makes me wonder if his origin is going to get New 52'd or if we're going to have his origin from the Jeff Johns, Dave Gibbons Green Lantern Corps run. Either way, I'm intrigued, and so that makes this book enough of a borrow it from a friend. Justice League United number 1. This is the Bwahaha Justice League mixed with the let's go to space and punch some aliens Justice League. And you know what? The best costume design ever for Adam Strange. This is a really great Jeff Lemire book with really great Mike McKone art. If you're not reading this book, you're wrong. This is a definite buy it. Superboy number 31. The evil Superboy from the future gets taken care of by a bunch of scientist people, and then he has to fight the parasite, and the parasite tries to suck his power, but then he sucks the power of the parasite, and it's like, what? But anyways, it's not that crazy, it's not that bad. Actually, it's a very interesting issue, and it reminded me a lot of the 1990s Superboy run by Carl Kessel, Tom Grumman, where, you know, the Cadmus scientists always followed him around, and they were kind of doing things, and he was constantly going back to Cadmus, and it intrigued me, and it's the most Superboy has intrigued me since the New 52. 52. So I'm going to say this is a borrow from a friend, a definite buy it if you're a fan of Superboy. Superman Doom #1. Doomsday's back. And actually maybe for the first time if you've read the New 52, and he just stands around and he burns things, and then he gets killed like 2 or 3 times, and then Lex Luthor shows up to give Superman advice, but to also remind us that he's now a good guy, and also that forever evil is really, really, really late. Thanks, David Finch. But Superman fights Doomsday, and Superman eventually decides to make the ultimate sacrifice because Doomsday will kill everything on the planet. So Superman makes a promise and he punches him away. And basically this issue is a really interesting idea, a really interesting new take on Superman Doomsday. The fact that Doomsday is somehow like, you know, able to adapt to be ultimate forms. He has more than one form, basically. But the art is kind of crazy in this book. And my artistic impression of this art is such. Literally. There are some of these fights where they have a 2-page double spread, and it's just like, I don't know what is happening. There are too many flowing lines. I literally can't keep up with what's going on, but it's a good thing that it's mostly just punching, and so that there isn't much to follow. Overall, this issue is a definite buy it if you're a fan of Superboy. If you're Superboy and Superman and Doomsday and anybody with the name Super in there, including Super Grover, this is a buy it. Superman Wonder Woman #8. The bulk of this issue is Wonder Woman talking to Clark. This is Superman Dune Part 3, by the way, in Clark's apartment. And Clark is in the shadows, he's silhouetted, and you don't realize that he's all Doomsdayified, right? So it's an interesting take on what happens in most comic book events. In most comic book events, they have the big fighty issues, and then they have the small little character issues. And the small character issues sometimes can seem like time wasters. Well, I appreciate that in this issue, it doesn't really seem like much of a time waster because you get a lot of key moments. It's juxtapositioned, I can't even say that word, between Superman and Wonder Woman talking, and Superman keeping his disease secret, and Wonder Woman going around to like Lois Lane, Lana Kent, and then Batman to kind of find out where Clark has been. And Tony Daniel does some amazing art in this issue because there is a 2-page spread where I turned the page and I literally went, whoa! And it's where Wonder Woman jumps down on the Batwing and basically forces Batman to talk to her. Generally, I'm not a fan of character issues in a major event, but if character issues were more like this, then I'm definitely in. This book is a buy it. The New 52 Futures End #2. You know what? This issue actually isn't half bad, and mainly because it's framed around the funeral of Green Arrow. We get to see more of the cast. We don't just get to stick around with Batman Beyond and Firestorm. We get to meet Mr. Terrific. We get to get an idea of what Animal Land's like in the future. We get to get an idea of what the Justice League's like in the future. We get to see the Superman with a helmet on for the very first time, and it's very interesting, and it reminded me the most of 52, the other weekly series that was a big favorite of mine, and how it introduced a lot of characters. It actually reminded me the most of the Gathering of Heroes. I think that happens in issue 1 or 2 of 52, where all the heroes gather. And you get little touchstones, little moments, little snippets of dialogue that give you factors of what has happened in these 5 years later. Like the other Earth 2, like the other weekly maxi series that's going to happen. We get an idea of what's going to happen there. And, you know, it's intriguing. This almost should have been the first issue. Like, we should have started in Green Arrow's funeral and backfilled his storyline, learned his heroic death, and got to touch on little aspects. And then you could have had Batman Beyond show up in the funeral. He crashes the funeral. How much more interesting would that have been? Now, I hate to, you know, tell people how to write their stories. I really hate to do that. That was just flowing of free consciousness. Anyways, this issue is the most interesting of Futures End that has happened so far, and the art is pretty decent. I have to actually say this is a buy it. World's Finest #23, and one of the best female duo books on the stand becomes just merely serviceable because the characters just stand around and talk a lot and nothing much happens. So this is a definite skip it. And now it's time for Jason's pick of the week. My pick that if you only have enough money to buy one comic book in the entire week, this is the book you should buy. And that book is Action Comics #31. Great art and a great story. It doesn't matter that this issue is mixed up into the jumble that is Superman Doom. This is a great book. and it's the best Superman title on the stands right now. Aaron Cooter can draw the pants off of Superman, literally, like, because the New 52 Superman doesn't have any pants. And Greg Pak just knows how to write a Superman. This is a definite buy it, and if you could only buy one comic book this week, this is what you should buy. And that's all my reviews for May 14th of the DC New 52. As always, go to majorspoilers.com, the comic book website where they know that you love comic books, and we do too. They do lots of great comic book podcasts, and it's a great site. Just go check it out. I write some reviews on there. And if you like podcasts, you should go check out my podcast, Geek History Lesson, which you can find on facebook.com/Geek History Lesson. Go over there, give us a like. We just did the Kitty Pryde episode for Days of Future Past, and we're going to do Professor X next week. So go check that out, learn things, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you're reading. Tell me what you didn't like, what you did like, what you didn't like, what you did like, what you did, that you did, that you didn't, that you didn't, that you did like, that you did like, that you did. And if you like my rambling of things, you know, so please don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe if you have not done so already. I'm Jason Inman. Thank you so much for watching. Be Seeing You. Wow, that's on there tight.
It's on there tight.
Mine's a wig too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead, pull.
Oh, that's on there tight
Yeah,
too.
it's good. It's good. I'm bald.
Very good.
100%.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey guys, it's our after the credit time, and there's something that we should talk about. CW just released a full-length 5-minute trailer of The Flash, and I gotta tell you what, I think it looks pretty fantastic. It looks pretty awesome. My only problem is I think the lead actor kind of gives some bad line readings, but I think Cisco is amazing. You know, hopefully he becomes Vibe. I think it's amazing that you get to see Reverse Flash in that trailer. But the person that I'm most intrigued by is Tom Cavanaugh, the actor who is playing like the older scientist of Star Labs that you see in that trailer. And he intrigues me a lot. And that is because I haven't seen this actor since Ed. When he ran the bowling alley, go IMDb Ed if you don't know what I'm talking about. But he was the lead in Ed, and he was also JD's older brother in Scrubs. But I have a crazy theory. So he's in a wheelchair, right? We've seen from that trailer. Oh, this is major spoilers. Well, is it really major spoilers if you haven't seen the trailer? Can you get spoilers from a trailer? I don't care. We're going on. Anyways, you see in the trailer, there's a lot of shifty eye looks of him, and he explains to Barry that the accident that created the Flash released lots of antimatter and black energy and Q energy and just energy into the universe, and that is what's creating all these supervillains and superheroes that we'll eventually see. I assume that's how we'll get Vibe. Cisco will become Vibe. Now, he's in a wheelchair, right? And there's definitely a parallel between him and Hunter Zolomon, the Reverse Flash of Wally West, who also had leg problems as well, if you remember, and became Zoom. Now, I think it would be an interesting idea to make Zoom a character on this show that is related to Barry or gets to know Barry. That way, when the Zoom reveal happens or becomes, or, you know, whatever, becomes the greatest villain, it will be more personal. I think Tom Cavanaugh is Zoom. I'm putting that out right there before the series has even aired. Copyright Jason Inman right now. Tom Cavanaugh will become the Zoom that we see in that trailer. You're welcome for that. Hope you liked it. I really liked it. It was really cool. I shared it on my Facebook. Go like my Facebook if you haven't liked it. And thank you all for watching. And again, please share the videos. It made a huge difference last week, and I want to thank you so much for that. So, oh, by the way, I'm going to be at, if any of you are California local, I'm going to be at Long Beach Comic-Con. So if you're going to go to Long Beach Comic-Con the last week of May, first week of June, May 31st, June 1st, I'm going to be there. So say hi, all right? See you later. Bye.